We had said we're starting at 10 a.m. It is now 2 minutes past the hour, and so we're going to get started. I just want to give a shout out to everybody who's on the Zoom platform. Thank you so much for registering and getting on board as quickly as possible. I've seen quite a few people watching us also on other social media platforms. In case you have any friends or relatives that you like and you think they might benefit from this, do send them the link. They're able to log on either here on the Zoom platform, or we are on YouTube as well. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. We're trying to get this message out to as many people as possible. I think on YouTube, I've seen we've got about, how many is that? Over 30 people already logged on and watching from that perspective. On Facebook, let me just have a quick look on Facebook in case maybe that's a space that you're more comfortable. Then we've got a few people also watching in that space. I encourage you, this is a great time to get yourself ready. The things that you're going to need for this session are a pen, God willing, somewhere to write as well, so that the ideas, the principles that are being shared, that you don't just listen, you know, because I think we can become very, very good at just listening, and it's not, that's not beneficial. You want to take it further than simply listening. You want to be able to push yourself beyond and to actualize the things that you've been thinking about. And that's a huge part of what we do here at Centonomy. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I need your help. Whichever platform, wherever you are watching us from, in whichever mode that you are watching us, I need to know where you are at. So especially for everybody who's here on the Zoom platform, I invite you right now, if you don't mind, just go to the chat box and type in where you are in the world, because one of the things that we've really enjoyed is the breadth that we have of those who are listening and growing their wealth around this world. People are hungry for this knowledge, and I'm just so excited about that. So if you can go to your chat box where you can see chat and just type to everybody, not just to those who are in the panel, but panelists and attendees, just so that everyone can be able to know. We are now what, just almost 230 people on this platform called Zoom, and it's just amazing to see where everybody are. Guys, you have no idea. This is simply amazing. I'm really enjoying this, and so proud of everybody for taking the time. Wow. Now, you know, because of the breadth of viewers that we have, some of your names are harder for me to pronounce than others. Let me show you my face before we get into this. I forgot to mention, my name is Waithaka Gatumia, and I serve as CEO here at Centonomy Limited, and it is truly a pleasure to have you all here. As I read through some of the names, please forgive me if I don't do too well on the pronunciation. I know I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best, and it's simply just to get that idea that we have, which is there's work to be done. So here, let's give it a try. Let's give it a try and just see who is on with us from around the world. Let's look at this. Wow, look at it, look at it, look at it. So this is Jeffrey from Kilifi. Great, great, great. This is, now I'm trying. Shayna, I hope, Shayna Burns, all the way from Los Angeles. It's 11:01, I'm telling you, in the morning. Yesterday, you guys are a day behind. Let's keep going, let's keep going. Excellent, that's a Sim. That's from Sim Ziegler from Nairobi. Excellent. That's Edeline from the Philippines. Hey, Wen Yip from Malaysia. That is Emmanuel. I don't know where, I guess you're on Zoom. You have said, hey. Nyendahayo, I hope I got it correctly. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, from Rwanda. We've got Samuel in Langata here in Nairobi, Ed Idel from Nairobi, Ariane from Kigali in Rwanda, Cynthia Nakuru, Thika. We've got Lois, that is Emmanuel in Uganda. Excellent. Violet from Roiro here, Kajiado, Mombasa, Kirinyaga, Kajiado, Kakuma. Walter is Northern Kenya is there. Juliana from Uganda. Excellent. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Nyanyuki, Rwanda. I'm just looking for different. Siaya, Kiserian. Great. Wonderful. Thika. Burundi. Hi, Ariel. Thank you so much. Excellent. South B here in Nairobi. So we've got lots of people from Nairobi, Juja, Eldoret, Emmanuel, Karibu Sana. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. This is amazing. Embu, Nyeri, Ruaka, Kampala, exactly. Gladys, welcome so much. Damaris, thank you so much. That's how you know. Isabella from Indonesia. Wow, amazing, amazing. Just some, this is, look, when we get into a room like this and we start sessions in this manner, we become extremely aware of how important this information on wealth creation, personal financial management, investment is around the world. And it became especially clear to us last year in 2020, when we had so many people who are just joining in and saying, you know what, especially those who are alumni of the Centonomy 101 program, we had many, many people just saying, if we had not, we would have been in a much different place. If we had not come and learned how to manage our money, to put cash aside. Can you imagine in 2020, we had testimonials coming in from those who were in the class talking about clearing their debt in 2020, being able to invest more than they have in 2020. The strategy and the attitude of wealth creation needs to become part of who we are. And that's just amazing. So I'm just going through, just picking up on all those different things. So amazing. Linda in Buruburu, thank you so much for joining in. Vincent in Rongai, this is just amazing. Stephen in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. We've got an amazing, amazing group of people. One of the things that 2020 showed us here at Centonomy is that you can move quickly and begin to engage, especially in an environment like this. When we talk about on an online environment with people from around the world, and the experiences that people bring through is just amazing. Roy Kimani in Juba, in South Sudan, welcome, welcome, welcome. We've got so many people. Look at that. Neema in Tanzania, welcome. We're so grateful to have you here. This is amazing, amazing, amazing. And so for everybody who has joined in, as I mentioned at the very beginning, you need to have a pen, you need to have a book, because we're going to take notes today and we're going to be learning a lot about what's going on in the wealth creation space. So let me start off here. At Centonomy, we are on a mission. And our mission is to shift your mindset. In our mission statement, we say to shift mindset, purposeful people. Because we realize that the message that we're sharing and the information that we're sharing, we thought it was for everyone, and I think it can benefit everyone. But you have to have the mindset to shift. You have to have that purposeful mindset in order for you to make that shift. And I know that you have a purposeful mindset, because you have shown up. Some people are showing up at 11 p.m. across the globe because they're saying, you know what, I'm tired of where I am and I want to be able to grow. So I know for everyone who has given their time, over 300 of us who are here in this platform, and I know we've got many, many on Facebook, many, many on YouTube. If you're whichever place that you're watching us from, I know that you are a purposeful person and that you have prepared yourself, ready to begin to make the change. Now, listen, our mission is to shift mindset so that purposeful people like yourselves can create wealth and live abundantly. And we recognize that wealth without the abundant life is no life. And you know this, I'm sure you've read about how many people around the world who are extremely wealthy, but no joy, no happiness, no purpose, nothing to live for. You can have money, but no real life. Now, look, money is a good thing, and that's what we're going to talk about here today. Money is important. It helps us to get through this world and to be able to achieve many of the things that we want to, but money is not everything. But the greatest thing is when you can begin to link your purposeful life to your wealth creation journey, and that's where we begin to see the change happening. Now, you as a purposeful person have come into this session ready to learn something. But I assure you, 2 hours is not enough to get you to where you want to be. And so we'll be telling you about the program called Centonomy 101, which is really a basics on how to manage your money no matter where you are in the world. And I'll be sharing some of the testimonies that we've been hearing from people in different places around the world and what they've been able to achieve. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. but it is for you to begin the journey. This is just a start. We're just whetting your appetite. We want you to come into the class because that is where the transformation begins. This is just a single step to be in this room, but we want you to make that choice that when our class starts in the first week of February, you are in the class because those 12 weeks will begin to shift your thinking. They'll begin to give you the tools, the actual tools to manage your money better and to begin your journey towards your financial dream. This is just a step. So this is not going to be enough. Please, let me manage your expectations for this session. You're not going to leave here and have all the information you need for your wealth creation journey, but we seek to inspire you, to give you some ideas, but also to encourage you that this is simply a step in that direction. I encourage you to get ready, and to prepare to be in that class. So for everybody around the world, we're talking about from East Asia all the way to the Americas. It's so great to have you, and across Africa. This is just amazing. We've got some people in Mogadishu. I think this is Amanya. Thank you so much in Mogadishu, in Somalia around here. Oh, this is amazing. Great, great, great. We've got quite a few people from Indonesia. For everyone in Indonesia, I don't know how to greet you. You'll have to teach me in the chat box, but this is what is amazing. Look at that. Uganda, we've got Africa. We, and especially the African diaspora, we have to take control of our wealth creation journey and begin the next generation, not starting from where we started, but only building on what we've done. This is amazing. Look at that. Oh, Ethel Truda in Kisumu, welcome, welcome, welcome. We've got just an amazing, amazing group of people around here. I can't go through it. You can go through the chat box and just begin to see the variety of people who are with us across the board, YouTube, Facebook. This is amazing. Welcome. So as we get started, as we promised, we've got an amazing, amazing group of speakers who are here to help us along the way. And I wanted just to inform you that when we bring these speakers on board, they're human beings just like you. They have their ups, they have their downs. And when they're coming to share, it's sharing experiences. And the great thing about human knowledge is that we build on what others have done. You don't have to start from scratch. You listen and learn from others. If you can learn from other people, and especially other people's mistakes, then you're that much better. So I'm so grateful for everybody who's logged on and who's taken the time to be here with us. And I just want to invite you once again to have a pen and paper ready to take notes. As I said, my name is Waithaka Gatumia, and I serve as CEO here at Centonomy, and it is a pleasure to have you. But one of my greatest pleasures is to invite our first speaker for the day. It's so amazing when we have some of the experiences from the African experiences being shared on this platform, whether it be South, West, East, or North African. It's so amazing to hear those stories because you know what? We are the same across this continent and around the world. And so it is such an amazing honor to invite our first speaker for the day. Her name is Flavia Tumusiime. I hope I pronounced it well, Flavia. If I called you the wrong name, just correct me. I have no issues with that. If you've ever turned on Ugandan TV, she does an amazing job as an anchor at NTV-Uganda. She's an amazing voiceover artist and MC. Essentially, she's the full package when it comes to the media experience. And so, Flavia, if you don't mind, if you can switch on your camera, it would be great so that everyone can be able to see you. How are you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Very
great.
Good,
where am I? Can't even see myself, but I'm sure I look
on the screen
sane.
You do. So it's so great to have you here. I hope you can see us. Let me get you up on the screen now. So
I'm somewhere there.
You're somewhere there, I think. Yes.
Don't worry, vanity is not a flaw for me.
But it's amazing to have you here and to share your experiences, especially on your wealth creation journey. I know our theme has been about the issue of crisis and the ability to handle those crises and manage them. But it's really about sharing the experience as we go together. So I invite you. You have some time now. Go ahead. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Waithaka. Before you go, is my audio great?
It is. I can hear you clearly.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. And good morning, Waithaka and everybody. You did say Tumusiime perfectly, but like a typical Kenyan, you call me Flavia. So it's Flavia, but when I'm in Kenya or when I'm around my family from Kenya, it's Flavia. So you are fine.
Flavia, from now on.
No. I want the Flavia. It sounds like a flavor. Anyways, good morning. I don't want to take up any of the time we have this morning because I'm aware it's just 2 hours. So yeah, do you want me to go right in and share?
Yes, please.
Fantastic. Hello, everybody. Good morning. I saw we were quite busy in the chat box, so I know we are plenty on here. And amazing to see people from different parts of the world. I think this is the power of having Centonomy online, because Waithaka, where were we going to get everybody in one class at a go? So this is fantastic. I would try to say thank you, COVID, but yeah, I'll try to say. But hi, everybody. I will introduce myself quickly. But just before that, I'm in Uganda, and if you've been quite blind to the news in the past couple of days, I won't go into the politics, but if in case my internet is on and off, we are not supposed to be online. So yeah, I am using internet that's not really on. So just in case anything happens, please bear with me, but I'm sure we'll be just fine. So I'm Flavia Tumusiime Kabura. I am married to Mr. Kabura. That's how I got that name. And I am a mom to one who's 9 months old and happy and giddy. I'm also a person in transition, trying to find my way into life. So yeah, then my work, I have been a television personality since I was 14. I'm 32, so do the math. I've been a radio presenter pretty much the same time. I'm on TV, I anchor the news now with NTV, and on radio, I'm with Capital FM in Uganda, which is the equivalence of Radio Africa if you're in Kenya. And then I've been a voiceover artist for many years. I do documentaries and a whole lot. And I'm also have been an actress out of that, too old. And I'm also an influencer, but I like to say content creator, because in the last maybe 2-3 years, I've realized that it's very essential to not just be famous, quote unquote, but to also have a legacy where you be the change that you want to see in the world. And so I made a deliberate effort to do content or to speak on things that I feel are very useful for my audience and also the world. And so that's how I've become, who I am today. So I really did write down plenty of things to share with you, bullet points. And then I remembered the reason why I actually fell in love with Centonomy. It was the people who were sharing their ordinary stories that spoke to me. And I said, so why not do the same for the person who's watching this, to not just say, oh, there were bullet points, and then, well, kudos, I wrote them down. So the rebuilding a financial plan in a crisis, I'd like to share with you what happened to me during COVID. I think the main lockdown throughout the world happened in March. In April, I gave birth to my son. And first of all, imagine going to give birth and you're not allowed to drive out of your home because lockdown. So my husband, for the first a week before I gave birth, had to go look for the LC chairperson, who he had no clue was, then go look for the RDC, then the head of police. Then just know it was not something you'd like to be stuck in, pregnant. Then you get to hospital and all the doctors are off because they're in shifts, okay? And so lucky for me, my doctor, who is heaven sent, was the only doctor on call. The disadvantage is that if he's the only doctor on call, has he slept? In the past 3 days, has he slept? No. Which means I'm in labor and you are dozing. Bless him. Oh, no. But he was tired. No. But the nurses are doing shifts. They've even stopped counting the hours. And so I'm in that time trying to understand that my perfect plan that I had done 8-9 months ago was not going to happen. Okay. There was not going to be Jay-Z playing in the background while they say push. No. Okay. Finances, because you can't access anything and everything, you're about the cash in the pocket at the time. Also, should you be spending as much because now you don't know how long the pandemic will last, you don't know how long the crisis is going to be. And so there was anxiety, there was fear, there was just so much happening. So I give birth, I come home, and the workaholic in me decides, why take maternity leave? Open your laptop, start working. And that's how I started my Instagram series, which were very popular, but people had no clue I was exhausted. But in all of that, I did that because I was afraid. I tend to do things when I'm afraid, very smart things when I'm afraid, but don't take my advice. But my husband and I sat down and had a different conversation. Now, we had conversations because I learned from Centonomy online, so I know to have a conversation with your partner about finances. So we had a conversation around what can we do? Because here's what happened. Every person in the media space, or whether you're in content creation or anywhere in media, you know the whole thing of the agency will book you for a gig, and then the client will pay the agency pays you. So we got into the lockdown period, as Ugandans say, expecting some money. And here we were, where nobody was working, no company was open, so nobody was able to pay us. And so we were looking at each other like, and now what do we do? Where do I get money? How do we go about our plans? Unfortunately for us, we had planned for the next month and the next week. We had not seen as far as 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And so we were stuck, and we had to sit down and have a conversation around, should we get out of this situation? How are you and I able to do a daily, monthly, weekly, whatever income to sustain us, so that we know that beyond the sustenance, there's a plan ahead to, have our assets grow and all of that. So we decided to look at things differently. Now, I want to explain to you that on the outside, when people see Flavia Tumusiime has worked for this many years, has this many gigs, earns a lot of money, so she's sorted financially. Now, you could earn so much money, but be at zero financially. I really wish I could pull up the quote, but I'll do it later, about how Shaniska Chunjira was saying that there's financial wealth, and then there's you being rich, then there's you being wealthy. So by and large, yes. I earn. Okay, so yes, I probably earn a lot more than the average person on TV and on radio. Great for me. However, that means nothing if I'm not doing the right thing or planning the right way for my money, which is what happened. Now, again, I'm not the worst there is. I had plans, I had savings accounts, I had my investments, but I had a few things, but I had not thought through. So what I used to do is that I think maybe 10 years ago, when I made some money, when I used to work in South Africa, and I came back home and I said, what's the best thing to do? Buy land, buy this, buy that. Why? Because everybody's doing that, right? And which is a good thing. The wrong thing I did is to think I can trust other people with my financial decisions. And so I said, I'm smart, I'll get a lawyer. I said, so I want to buy property, give me the best places, handle the legalities, and then give me my paperwork. And lawyer comes to me and says, here's a piece of land, it's brilliant, it's on the near road, you can turn it into this and that, and I'm excited, pay cash, go away. Legalities are done, paperwork is given to me. And then 2 weeks in, I go to check on the piece of land, which is really prime. And I'm like, so this road that is here, what do we do? And the guy said, oh, it's a communal land, you've got to go to court or just decide with everybody. Anyway, fast forward 4 years into the problem, I realized my lawyer had bamboozled me. The people at the lands had bamboozled me, or the people I thought were at lands had bamboozled me. Also, prime as I thought wasn't actually prime, because now here's me buying in a residential area, trying to do commercial. Here's me fighting with my neighbors, but also trying to invest in the same area. So there's a lot. So anyway, fast forward in COVID, we pull out all our documents, me and my husband, and we're looking. So this one, we do this, and this one, we do that. And we realized there was a lot of details we had skipped, and we had to go back to literally the drawing board, to square one, okay? But what hurt is that everything else we were touching, be it our contracts, be it things we had signed, be it MOUs, when we went down to look at everything that was making us money, we had missed a lot of details. And it happens. It happens when all of us who are in the corporate world making a bit of money, thinking we've got everything sorted, we send our brother to handle that. We send our best friend to handle that. The important things, I mean, it's an investment. You probably should be sitting right there when signatures happen. You probably should be reading the fine line 1,001 times before you actually sign, because you may think you're investing and retirement comes and you're thinking, oh, I have A, B, C, D lined up, and you don't. Yeah, because you work for your money, but other people are also working for your money. So anyway, that's what happened. So we get out of COVID and then we hit the ground running, because now him and I have to look at work differently. We have to get different jobs. We have to do differently in our fields and etc. And the first thing we looked at was our salary. That's our first source of income, right? So do you earn enough? How do you know if you're earning enough? Okay, my value. But how are you measuring your value? Then we started to answer those uncomfortable questions. Because I'm a news anchor, great. What does that do for me? Okay, then I have to answer what I want. Okay, fine. So Flavia, right now, you've been on TV long enough. Great for you. What else? Well, I don't know. What's the best thing in TV? So your worth is measured on what the TV wants you to do? No. I probably want to, I have goals. Which ones? Yeah, in 5 years, where else? BBC. Do you really want to work for the BBC? No. Okay, so what do you want? So that was quite uncomfortable. It was really uncomfortable because I didn't have an answer. I didn't have an answer to where I wanted to go. I wanted to be wealthy. I wanted to do well, but do well at what? At what? The sky is the limit. Yeah, but what is in the middle before the limit? What's in the middle before the sky? I had no answer. So sometimes you scream about finding purpose and your goals, and the people who you think have it on lockdown are just winging it. We are just winging it. And that's the worst you can do. Because tomorrow, like we saw in COVID, they tell you take a pay cut. You're uncomfortable because you can't maintain your life with a pay cut. They tell you we can't maintain you in 6 months, we'd have to let you go. Now you don't know where plan B is. You don't know where to go, what to do, because in your field, you have not bothered to improve yourself. In your field, you've not bothered to be any different. I remember going to NTV to work during COVID, and the cameraman is supposed to be on, by and large, in any professional world, he's literally supposed to be behind the camera, and that's it. But this guy is helping me with the microphone. He can do color grading. He can help the editor. I'm like, you're a one-man show. He's like, yeah, during COVID, they've cut down everybody, stay home, we'll call you. And the ones who had more than 3 skills were kept. I was like, oh, okay. So I have skills, but do they apply in the market that I'm in? And the answer was no, because unbeknownst to me, when I was practicing my journalism and everything in South Africa, I did it for the South African market. You come back to Uganda, you can't apply. Not that you can't apply, but over the years, I did not work on applying it. I did not work on bringing the details down to Uganda. And so COVID hit, and as much as it didn't take away my jobs, it took away the reason. You understand? Because there was none anyway. But it literally woke me up to knowing that, Flavia, there's a chance, a high chance in the next 2 years, you're not doing what you're doing. So what will you be doing? Because I'm a young mother, we're a young couple, which means we're going to add more children. We have dreams of having homes here, this here, investment here, business here. How are we going to achieve that if we are relying on a salary? 1, if 2, we are relying on, but people know us, I'm sure somebody will give us a job. Which one? Which one? So they want to give you a job, but so you're going to clean their house? No, okay. You understand? I have a degree in public relations that I thought was just a degree because, like, parents tell you, at least go to school, get 1 degree, then you can go shout on TV. Yeah. So then you start thinking, okay, can I use that? So let me tell you that it was a wake-up call for COVID to happen. And so whilst you might think that the wake-up call for everybody else was losing their job, having nothing to eat, everybody is affected. And let me tell you that us who are affected mindset-wise, it's the worst. It is the worst. Because you're looking at the plate of food, you know you have it. Great. You even have salads, you have fruits, you have juice. But you know, this could only last a month. At the level you're living, it could only last a month. So I had to wake up, we had to wake up, and we had to change a few things. So the first mistake that I made was to panic and to take everything that was offered to me. And you're going to realize that when you're building your financial plan, as much as we're going to tell you to find a way to earn, I want you to be very careful on what ways those are, because I think sustainable is better. So you're going to try and do something because for now, you need it for now. But I believe you should be calculative in everything that you're doing. Whatever you're doing today should sort of weave into the next thing, okay? So say I'm going to be, I'm going to work as an intern in this accounting firm because at some point, because I have a diploma in accounting, I'd like to get to the desk, okay? Okay, so how do I get to the desk? As an intern, I am seeing how they are operating and I'm seeing where I can find my strength, where I can do this. So you're not misplacing yourself, okay? I see people who come into my DMs, oh, if you can get me an internship anywhere. No! Be calculative because you are about to waste your time, okay? Now is the time I should be telling myself I can walk into any media house and pitch myself and I can earn. Why? Because I have been calculative. When I show my CV or my profile, you can tell the calculativeness that is there. This weaved into this, at this point, into this, into that. So I have not wasted 15 years of my career, but you do not want to do that. So you want to earn. So imagine if in the first 2 years, I'm like, anything goes, guys, anything, give me. I'll have wasted my time not learning the right skills and the right things that would now if I want to earn, I can earn. So you don't want to get the breadcrumbs very quickly because you'll eat breadcrumbs forever. I'm telling you right now, you will be on breadcrumbs forever. You will not have that nice, lively house that everybody has because you're on breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs don't buy a house. Breadcrumbs put food on your table. Breadcrumbs make you wear something. Breadcrumbs will give you lipstick. Breadcrumbs don't buy the house, don't buy the car, don't put your children to school, don't take you on that vacation. Breadcrumbs do not. And that's why you have a generation, and I'm going to say it, of young girls and guys who are saying, but who can date me? Your financial plan is a name and it's not yours. Okay? You have written financial plan.
I think we call it
Joseph. Yes, sponsor. Financial plan, Maria. Please. That's also not sustainable. Okay? Someone just said they'll never look at breadcrumbs the same again. But anyways, what's one thing I believe I started with to change or to rebuild my financial plan? Information. Please. Ignorance is not bliss. Don't go around explaining to people how you're stupid, but you can explain. No. You're like, you see me, I'm not informed, but let me tell you, I'm pretty. No. I'm not informed, but everybody is not informed. No. I had to get information. And let me tell you that information isn't watching Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is saying, ECG 104K, 140, what is it? It doesn't apply. 401K, see? Yeah. It doesn't even apply to you, okay? Information is saying you are in Kenya. And I mean, let me tell you, Waithaka probably has more information to apply to you than Oprah. Okay? So I get it. Oprah is amazing. She's a billionaire. She could say things that could get you there, but will they? You've got to get information that you can apply. And I think that's the first time I wanted to have a conversation around Centonomy because I said, okay, there's this class I should have taken a long time ago, but I think now that I am stuck, let me do it, okay? And I was so convinced because I remember looking at it and saying, June, that's too far. But, you start small. So I got a few financial advisors here in Uganda. And I said, rather than learning alone, let me take it to Instagram so that it's me and everybody else learning. Somebody else will ask a question that I would not have thought of. Somebody else will pull up something I would not have thought of. And that's how my financial stability conversation started, or financial knowledge series started on Instagram. And I remember the speaker started with 7 streams of income. She said, if you do not have 7 streams of income today, and you're past the age of 25, there's a problem. I said, oh, wow, I only have 3. Okay, but that wasn't a bad start. But everybody was looking for how if I can't find one stream of income, will I find 7? But it's information. It's information. You are not informed. That's why you think everything is big, everything is too hard, everything takes time. You procrastinate because you think it's hard. But please start small and start simple. You want financial advice, you want information. Yes, you can subscribe and get a newsletter from the Financial Diet, but it won't apply to you. Do you see what I mean? But it's simple as going to YouTube, few MBs, heck, we're on VPN and we're still getting information. Go on and say, oh, Caroline Motoko, okay, talking to Waithaka, makes a lot of sense. Do you see? I replay about 10 times a week that conversation between Waceke and Caroline. Income in my 20s, money in my 30s. Whoa! Because they are spot on, okay? I don't have to make mistakes. They've made them, so I can learn from their mistakes. You understand? That's what information does for you. Bonds, sijui trust, sijui. Don't say sijui, learn. You understand? I remember when I gave birth, one of my friends said, I'll gift your son shares in Umeme. And I remember saying, so when I said it, people in the room said, she has that much money. I'm like, you don't need that much money to buy shares. But you see, that's a misconception because people don't have information. So you find somebody tells you they earn 10 million shillings, Uganda shillings, 10 million shillings here as a salary, but they tell you they in savings, they only have about 3M. How is that possible? Because they do not understand money. They don't understand the use of money. They don't understand the possibilities of money. Do you understand? And that's a general weakness. So I'll tell you, for me, what apart from Centonomy, which is a great resource, what I did that works for me is get the right people in my life. And so I started to have conversations with not very far, but friends, you understand? Friends that I know, oh, you've made something of your life. How did you? Okay, what did you do? You were in the corporate world. How did you move from there to your business? How did you make your business work? Or your life looks like something I'd like to have. How did you? And all you have to do is invest in a cup of coffee or dinner or lunch. It doesn't matter, but just invest that. Let them give you 1 hour, 30 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever they can afford, and just take as much information as you can and start to apply it to your life. Trust me, I used to be one of those people. I had to declutter all the apps I didn't need because none of them were making sense. And then there's what they call the Kakabo Method. I was hurt that when I listened to what the Kakabo Method was, I said, that's just writing down what you spent on. So why are the Japanese thinking they own it? I'm sure Waithaka, you know the Kakabo Method. It's the Japanese way of saving. And once I listened to it, it's just they say every single day, write down what you have spent on. I bought a pen, 200 shillings. I bought my mom a watch, X amount of money. I had a smoothie, 20,000. Oh, I bought bananas on the way, this. I fueled the car, this. Someone was crying about lunch, I bought them lunch, 20,000. Literally every single transaction you make a day, you write it down. And their belief in Japan is that at the end of the day, when you look at that Kakabo book, you will know where your money is going. Yep, very true. I did that. And for me, I realized the biggest, I think I call it a spill, Waithaka, I think you'll agree with me. You will see where your money is spilling from. Yes. Because there are things you're supposed to be spending your money on, but in rebuilding your financial plan, please take that Kakabo Method. Write. So that you can know where the problem is. Where's the spill? For me, my spill was people. Okay? At work, anybody looked hungry, I bought lunch. If somebody looked like they needed something, no problem. Then I'd get to them and I'm like, but where did I put the 30? Where? That's what the Kakabo does for you. It will show you that spill. And so now when people tell me someone is dying, they're in the hospital and their bill is 3 million shillings, I say, that's so unfortunate. I have 30,000 shillings. Yeah. That's what I have. That's what sound like, because I know that's my spill. I've got to watch it. When people come to me, I watch my spill because I know I don't want it to appear. You understand? Someone says, can you give us the name of that method? Kakabo, Kakeibo, literally.
Yeah.
It's the Japanese Kakabo method. I'm sure Centonomy will be able to share with you, but I mean, I'm sure they've talked about such methods before. But so it's just that. Don't even look for it. In fact, I've told you what it is. Just write down everything that you spend on in a day. It will help you see the spill. Number two, my husband and I sat down and said, whatever our goal is financially, whatever we want to do, we can't do it with debt. We can't do it with Waithaka on our back saying, when are you paying me? Okay. So what we did is write down every single debt. And by the way, guys, debt isn't a mortgage. The car hasn't been paid off. Student loans, if you have student loans, because we don't. But debt is as small as, but the other day, my friend gave me 1 million shillings when I was in a crisis and I haven't been able to pay her back. She's your friend, so she might not be calling you every day, but it's still a debt, guys. It's still a debt, okay? The ones who get 500,000 from Flavia, then get 500,000 from Waithaka to pay Flavia. So now they have Waithaka who will then come from Joseph to pay Waithaka, and then you get what I mean.
Yeah.
That is debt, friends. Write down even the 200 shillings your boda guy. That one, please. That is still get to zero debt. Isn't that the dream, Waithaka? Zero debt. That's the dream. And your financial plan will not look good unless you got zero debt. You do not want, and because for me, anyway, I speak about me and my husband because our financial plan is it's not mine at this point. But we didn't want to own our home or anything with, but we've got a balance. But we've got this on a balance. And I was the one who kept saying, we can get a mortgage, we can pay it off. And his view was, we can't be slaves. We cannot be slaves for our workplace because, but the house. Every time you walk into the house, you know why you have to go to work. That's not how it should be done. So we decided, look at it, paid it off in every single way, both of us, and then started our financial plan. Now, I'm going to speak to people because I don't think a lot of people are in a union where the financial plan is for two, so I can speak for one. Your financial plan, like I said in the beginning, I didn't have a goal as to why I was working. I didn't have a goal as to, I mean, the goal is not to eat food or nice food. The goal is not to, feed your kids or to take them to school. The goal isn't to make sure that you change your car into a nice car. The goal isn't to make sure that you can make it to Las Vegas for Waithaka's birthday party. Please. We need real goals, guys. I can't stress it. We need real goals, okay? I remember the first time, I think we were on a honeymoon, and I told my husband, he asked me, tell me something that is ridiculous, that if you said it to me, I would just think that's crazy. And I told him, Han, I would like us to own a home, just a holiday home in Dubai. We can Airbnb it. I don't care. We can, whatever it is, we don't have to live here, but I just want to own it. And he said, why? I said, good businesses. I mean, it's Dubai. You will never not have people in that home. It will always make an income. Yeah. And he thought it was crazy. Fast forward to after COVID, we're building a financial plan, and he says, I think we should consider that Dubai thing. I said, wait. Hey, now that's a goal. That's a goal. But I'm not saying yours has to be as ridiculous as that or as small as that, because I'm hoping yours are bigger. But it's just how far and how big can you think? Okay, I don't want a retirement home. I want to have maybe 10 cottages here, and I can have, just think beyond yourself. Okay, think beyond your children. Think beyond. I mean, make it bigger. Imagine if Jeff Bezos thought of just himself. You understand? Imagine if Waithaka, Waceke thought of just themselves. You understand? The dream would not be as big as Centonomy, as us learning from each other. So think bigger than yourself, okay? Because if it's just yourself, I think you can manage. You understand? You can manage. So just think bigger than yourself. So let's quickly go through. We talked about debt. We've talked about the Kakabo Method, which is just literally for you to know your spiel before you build that financial plan. Write everything, okay? Remove the clutter, which I'm going to give you two things. One is remove the clutter from your finances. And quickly, this is you having 6 bank accounts. One is for savings. The other one is for saving, but it's fixed. The other one is for emergency. The other one is for current. Guys, you cannot work like that. Okay, I'm not saying it's so bad to have your money in the bank, but not like that. In fact, the bank is paying people as your financial advisors, so please don't let them take that paycheck for free. Sit them down and say, please, you have my money in 30 accounts, what can I do? You understand? So remove that clutter from your money. The last one I'd like to share with you is start small. Start where you are, start with what you have. So we said rebuilding, okay? You notice it's rebuilding your financial plan because the crisis has come, you can't send it away. And so don't stay at the bottom crying. Start there at the bottom, exactly where you're seated. With nothing, start there. Start with what you have, that's zero. The biggest resource that you have is you. So when somebody asks you what you have, don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. You have you, intellectual capacity. The man who sold Twitch to Amazon said they started because they were bored. And they said the only thing they had was intellectual capital, period. They said they were smart. And they also looked around and they said everybody at Harvard was smart. And they said, great, we don't have the money, but we have intellectual capacity and capital. So let's just have everybody who's smart sit around and say, you'll get 10%, I'll get 30%, you'll get 40%. We're done. So you don't have nothing. You have intellectual, and also, like I said, the intellectual capital is not just you, it's the people around you. Don't be selfish that it's just you. Take from everybody. Be selfish. Okay, so start from where you are with what you have. Okay, guys, that's all the time I know. We could go on and on and on and on. I
was fighting not to stop you because you should see some of the comments online, Flavia.
Oh no, I missed it.
No. It's because they're on different platforms, so it's hard to keep up. I'm trying to do it. So let me just give a couple of them. Thank you so much, Miriam Otipa. This is on YouTube. Miriam has said, fantastic listen. Flavia, you are spot on. You are always inspiring. And then Easter Fanning says, great engagement. It's so relatable. Thank you for not coming to give us a class. Leave that to us guys on this side. Thank you for sharing your experiences, which is what really matters. I don't know how many of you guys were taking notes because I was in the class. We have a mantra that we have, and it's like you've already been there. But there's lots more to come. I know you're going to join us along the way, Flavia, as well. You said you do things when you're afraid. Actually, we say it, feel the fear, but do it anyway. Because I think sometimes we hold back, because of fear. And we can't not do things because of fear. Then you said high income is not the same thing as wealth. And that is so true. So in the class, and everyone can write this down, we describe wealth as wealth is the ability to live the lifestyle that you want without having to work. Now, many people live a very expensive lifestyle, but they have to work so hard every single day in order to maintain that lifestyle. So building assets that can sustain your lifestyle is massive. I'm telling you, buying land because everybody else is buying. Tell a story of Africans. If there's one thing you cannot take from Africans, Flavia, is land. And especially from my community. Hey, owning a piece of land is like, anyway, let's not go in that direction. But doing things because other people are doing them. That's an amazing lesson. Don't do that because you find yourself in that space. Flavia, I wanted to make fun of you just a little bit. When you got real, the Ugandan accent came out. I was waiting for it. You know, you were very polished until the real points came. Then now I had the accent coming. Very good. I was waiting for it as you came. It could only last, if you're talking about that, what could you do with the income that you're working for? Work to build profitable businesses and on purpose. Yes, that I think there's a place. Look, learn from everyone. And I loved your point. Hey. In fact, I'm going to take that and put it on my Instagram. I think that Waithaka has more information than Oprah. I don't know. Now, anyway, my day has been made. But
believe, Waithaka, believe.
But the point, I love the point, but it's everything in context. And I think that's really important to have it. Yes, the Kakabo method, we talk about it in our class, which is simply managing your expenses, tracking your expenses. That is one of the most fundamental things. We start with it on the first day. We spend about 10 minutes on that, and that's it, because all you need to do is do it. Do it, and you'll be surprised. And then beginning to deal with that area on debt. I have one question for you, Flavia, before you disappear. How do you stay determined? Because when you're knocked down, I think this was a comment that was online. I missed the name. I think it came from Facebook, but someone is asking, how do you stay determined even in the face of difficulty? Because some people really have been knocked down in this COVID period. Maybe you can share on that.
Thank you. I got asked this question maybe 6 months ago, and I think I gave a superficial answer, because what has happened is that I took some time off and reflected and got to understand myself better. And the teachings of Wayne Dyer have been very helpful. And I think I don't think you should do it when you're stuck or when you're looking for reasons to go on. No, I think you should practice it every day. It will make the times when it's hard easier. Don't get attached. Okay? Now, that might sound like don't love people, don't love things, don't do anything, don't have passion, but there's a difference. There's a difference. The thing is to walk through the universe believing that everything happens for a reason. And so you're squirming and you're fighting and you're crying and you're mulling about it will not change a thing. Okay? So you believe that everything that has happened to you, things didn't change, people didn't change, you did, right? So when I feel like I can't do today, I can't do this hour, I can't do this minute, I can't do this second, I just do it. Do you see what I mean? Because for me, I'm like, okay, whilst I am going, whilst I am not stopping to mull and cry about how I am tired, how I am drained, how I can't do it, if I do that, it won't change it, right? However, if I keep going, if I move on and keep working and keep going through it, I'll be surprised what I find. I'll be surprised what changes. So don't get attached to when a situation happens to you. Don't get attached to, I am so busy, I am so tired, I have so many things to do. Don't get attached to that situation. Just, you understand, remove yourself from that situation. So when something happens, say, oh, that was a moment of anger, not I am an angry person. Don't say I was tired in that situation, not I am a lazy person. Okay, so don't get attached to the situations. It has really been very helpful to me. You understand that I can't even tell you that even now, coming to this session, you've got no clue maybe how drained I was or anything, but I bring my best self. So yeah.
Wow. Flavia, I mean, I want to continue, but we don't have time. That's what I
absolutely. Yeah.
People's attention spans online is slightly less, and so we'll stop there. For everyone, please know on the Centonomy YouTube and also the Facebook channel, this has been recorded and will be available afterwards. So if you just want to listen to that speech again, please do check it out and subscribe and actually log on and follow us as well, and you'll be able to get that information once again. Flavia, you are amazing. Your story was amazing, and I really appreciate your time that you've given us. If you have any question, especially for those who are on the Zoom platform, you can use the Q&A section. And as panelists, we'll be able to go through and try and answer some of those questions. We won't be able to get to everything, but we'll do our best along the way. I just wanted to mention, if you don't mind, that as we said, the Centonomy 101 program is actually starting this coming February, and so you have some time to register today. But some of the things that Flavia has been talking about is key, are key to what we've been discussing here. I just wanted to mention, please, if you don't mind, that one of the best ways to handle crisis is to prepare for it. And I think that came out in what Flavia was talking about. And for many of our alumni, they've been writing to us and sending and saying, if I hadn't saved, if I hadn't invested the way we had learned in the class, I'd be in a much different place than I was right now. So many have responded, especially around, if you go onto our website and all our social media, we've got lots of information around budgeting, especially the ABC budget process. And so many people have wrote into us saying, hey, you know what, this helped us organize our thinking. In the 101 program, we also use tools. We use tools like an emergency fund. How do you begin to put aside money for emergencies that can help you when an emergency actually comes up? And I think 2020 taught us about that. We also have other tools like an irregular expenses fund that help you to figure out there are some items that they don't come every month, and planning for them can be difficult. And that's the kind of information that you get. Listen, I understand that you are educated and that you have a lot of knowledge, but being ignorant about certain things does not mean that you're not educated. It's difficult to know everything, and it's so important for you to begin to invest in the areas of knowledge which you don't have at the moment. And the financial area of knowledge is one of those that we want you to make that investment in. The Centonomy 101 program actually breaks it down into 3 main segments. We have managing your money, which is really understanding how does cash flow, planning for your money, which is the time value of money process, and you'll hear a bit about that. We have the debt management, struggling with debt. I'll be sharing a little bit about that shortly. And then the idea of matching your financial goal with your purpose, which is living abundantly, and we talk about that in that section. Then we have the investment section. I know everybody wants the investments, but what we have realized is simply having knowledge about investment and you've not linked it to a plan, you can get lost. And so we deal with the 3 main investment avenues, and we use them as templates because they can be applied to other areas of investment. And finally, protecting your money, understanding insurance, estate planning, taxes, and then putting it all down into a 5-year financial plan. My financial plan is so important. That one begins to set aside because now you're being purposeful with the money that you have. And this is how the program is broken down. I'll be telling you a little bit more about that, an example on debt shortly. But I'm so excited, Flavia, by your great speech. Oh my goodness. There's a lady who's coming to speak to you right now. The first time I heard her, I was blown away to the point that I tried to hire her. But a multinational came with a much higher paycheck than Centonomy was. Don't worry, Betty, we are coming. Now you can see we are global. So Betty, don't worry, there's opportunities still along the way. When you see somebody of such high quality, you want to have them on your team. Our next speaker is Betty Kingori. She's just an amazing young person with great ambition. This lady, when I met her, she was still in university and said, you know what, Waithaka, I'm going to be president of this nation. And you know what, Betty, I believe it. She's a lead organizer at the TEDx Parklands and just an overall great human being. Betty, welcome. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Can you hear me properly?
I can hear you clearly.
Great.
Welcome. Let me get you on the screen now because I think
Okay.
I'm the one stopping you from being on the screen. Hold on 1 second. And there we go. Excellent. Karibu.
Great. Asante, I am really excited to be back home. I actually came home on the 9th of January. I came back from the UK. I was doing my master's at the University of Edinburgh and I was studying international development. Waithaka, actually, thank you for writing my recommendation letter. Your letter got me into, I think, 6 big schools in the UK. And so I finally managed to go to the University of Edinburgh and I graduated with a distinction, which is really exciting. So I guess a bit of a background about me is that I studied mechanical engineering for my undergraduate. And then I worked for 2 years and then I left to go do my master's in international development. And now I'm back. Waithaka said that my life goal is to be president, but I have updated it because I feel like being president is too easy. So I'm looking forward to, I really want to win a Nobel Peace Prize in physics or chemistry or anthropology. I haven't decided which one yet, but I think it's more of what I would want to do because I've realized I'm an academic. I really like learning and just being in spaces where I consume information. And so I am currently on a 7 or 8 month sabbatical. I'm not working for anyone. I am basically traveling and meeting people for the next 7 months before I start my PhD in the US in September. So that's just a bit of a background about who I am and what my skill sets are. I guess maybe I should say that I am probably one of Centonomy's more passionate alumni. I have gone through 4 of their programs. I think I started with the Campus Edition one, and that's actually the only program I've paid for. The company has been very generous with me. They sponsored my Centonomy Career Hub. They also sponsored my Centonomy 101, and this January I want to start my Centonomy Entrepreneur. And I really want to pay for it this time because you guys have given me a lot and I feel like I need to give back. But if you want to give me a scholarship, I cannot say no. So anyway, I think I've divided my talk into 3 sections. The first section is a brief introduction, and then I'll go into the main points that I want to talk about, and then I'll finish off with some conclusions. And because we are talking about crisis, I thought it makes sense to share my crisis. And my crisis was that in 2019, was it in March? In May, I was organizing our 3rd TEDx Parklands event. And we had planned to host it in one venue, but then that particular venue ended up having an issue with the contractor. And so the contractor basically locked the auditorium, and we had to decide whether we were going to have the event or whether we were going to move it to a different place. And so we made the decision to move the event to a different venue and not postpone it. However, because of that shift in movement, we incurred expenses that we hadn't planned for. And so we ended up hosting an event that was not as subscribed as we thought it would be. And then it was in a more expensive location and we hadn't planned for it. And so that event left us with a debt of about $5,000. And $5,000 is what, like 500,000 Kenya shillings. In my mind at this particular point, I don't think that's a lot of money, but back then in 2019, in May, I felt like it was the biggest load on my shoulders and I did not know what to do. So when that happened, the people I was organizing the TEDx event with basically waliniruka. So they said that I was the one whose name was on the license, and so it was my financial responsibility to pay for the debt. And I think that in itself is a crisis because doing business with people is it's something that I think more people need to speak about. This idea of romanticizing entrepreneurship, because that's how I view TEDx. For me, it's a platform that I'm looking to grow from what it is now into the global stage that it's supposed to be. The whole reason I organized TEDx is because I want to give local ideas a platform to be heard globally, because there's so many things that happen in Nairobi that are so unique to Nairobi, and they should be elevated to a global stage. So in my mind, we produce world-class ideas, and that's the reason we are referred to as the Silicon Savannah of Africa. We are the crown jewel of this continent, and I say that unreservedly. Kenyans are the smartest people in the world. If you move around and you travel as much as I travel and you meet Kenyans and the kind of things that they're doing in diaspora, you will be so surprised. So that's my crisis. And a little bit of what happened after that is that we had a bit of an argument with the people that I was supposed to be jointly sharing the debt with. And we just agreed that, you know what, the debt is mine and I'll take up that responsibility. So I looked at my bank account and I had $2,000, and that's the money that I had in savings. And I was like, you know what, this TED thing is not my thing. It's not TED by Betty Kingori. It's TED by people sitting in New York. And so I'm going to take my grievances to New York. I bought a flight for $1,200. I got on the flight, I left for New York. I had $800 in my pocket and I was going to travel throughout the whole of America with that money. And so I put my itinerary online and I told Americans, Kenyans in diaspora who are in America, I am in America and I'm looking for hosts and you guys are going to give me a house to sleep in. And basically I went to New York, I went to New Jersey, I went to DC, I went to Maryland, I went to Virginia, I flew to Vegas, I stayed in Vegas, I went to California, I stayed in California, I went to Minnesota, and then I flew back to Kenya. I flew back to Kenya because the connections that I had made through those people offered me an opportunity to earn $5,000, the debt that I had, in 1 week. And I made that money in 1 week. I came, I organized a conference for someone, and I made that money, I paid it, and that debt was done. I got my visa, I went to the UK, and I started my master's degree. That's how that problem was solved. So I really feel like I should talk about my mindset when it comes to things that I think are very important when you're trying to do a financial plan. And because I said I'm an academic, I'm going to try and explain what I think is the process of development. There's a book called Kicking the Ladder by Ha-Jun Chang. He is an economist, and he basically talks about the process of development began in an agrarian revolution. And then it proceeded into an industrial revolution. And then after that, it went into an import subsidization phase. And finally, it moved into knowledge and capacity building. If you look at the countries that are called the G8 countries, that is the path to development. If you take that idea and you compare it to Maslow's hierarchy and the needs of human beings, you can directly correlate where these development aspects meet. So for example, you have physiological needs. This is food, shelter, and clothing. That for me fits into agrarian revolution, it fits into an industrial revolution, and it also fits into import subsidization. So whatever idea you have about starting a business needs to fulfill one of the needs of this hierarchy. So whatever for me I do, I try to ask myself, where am I fulfilling? Which problem am I solving according to this pyramid? So if I want to start something and I'm fulfilling a physiological need or a safety need or a belongings and love need or an esteem need or a self-actualization need, my market cannot be the same. And that is why people can start businesses that look exactly the same and have customers, because basic needs don't change. So for me, one of the things that I've come to realize is that I think it is foolish to believe that the money is in Nairobi. The money is not in Nairobi because Nairobi is not an agrarian county. So you need, if you want to be a farmer, you cannot be living in Nairobi. You cannot be a telephone farmer expecting to make returns while you're sitting in your office in Nairobi. You should be going to your shags and investing there because that's where food comes from. And so this notion of bringing concepts that have been tested and tried and proven by developed countries and matching them to Maslow's hierarchy of needs is where I think people need to start in terms of thinking about entrepreneurship. And that's what I think I have been reflecting about in the year that I have been away, because my thought process now is not my thought process 1 year ago. Living in the UK helped me to silence myself, to be away from Kenya, and to not only think about surviving to do my master's, I had to think about what am I going to do when I come back to Kenya. And I also had to heal from the betrayal of losing friends because of money. I don't think the person who invented money meant for it to be an evil thing. Money is supposed to be a medium of exchange. You give me value, and so I give you value. And that's where we transact with money. And that's why people say money is an evil master, because it was never intended to be the goal. It is only a facilitator. And so for the different things that we are looking to achieve in life, the purpose should never be to get money. The purpose should be to retire in a certain place, to take my to take my kids to receive a certain kind of education. I feel like money is a pathway to legacy. I think that's what it is for me. And so some of the things that I think, to summarize my Maslow's hierarchy, pyramid, and development concept, I think the two are really a mirror. One needs to reflect on the other for you to have value. And also entrepreneurship is about solving a problem. It's not about starting a business. Those are two very different things, I think. I can start an M-Pesa, but someone else can have another M-Pesa and they'll make more money because there's something that they're doing differently from me. So you need to think about value proposition because money follows value, I think.
You're right.
So therefore, like, it follows that any venture that someone takes to make money externally from your 8 to 5 needs to fulfill a need. And if it fulfills a need, then those things are directly proportional. So need equals profit. Otherwise, if there's no need, you will never get profit because you're not serving anyone. So yeah, that was my introduction. And then now I'm moving into my main points, of which I want to call them character principled investing. So like I said, for me, I've really been thinking a lot about what makes me, me, and then what I think people should be thinking about in terms of challenging the status quo on how to make money. So for example, the first point I want to make is be Eliud Kipchoge. The one thing that Eliud Kipchoge is known for is his discipline. He wakes up every single morning to go run. So if you want to make money, and if you're basing your money off of a character, then you need to build discipline. Kenyans just generally, we don't have this thing called discipline. And that is why we overlap when there's no need for us to overlap. That is the reason you are told to follow COVID rules. You don't want to follow them. We are an indisciplined society, and that's just the truth. So we need to figure out how we start solving this indiscipline. And then this discipline is the thing that will bring you money because you literally have to spend the 10,000 hours that are required for you to be a specialist in something. And then the money will follow you. People will start to look for you because you are a specialist in that particular thing. Like I said before, money follows value. And for value to be created, time must be spent. And for time to be spent, you must be purposeful and you must be disciplined in acquiring that particular skill. So that's my first point. Be Eliud Kipchoge, be disciplined in making sure that you are the best in a particular thing if you want it to earn you money. The second thing is what I'm calling the duck analogy. If it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it must be a duck. And here I'm talking about integrity. Integrity is about being honest. It's about being strong-willed with your morals. So one of the things is that people don't realize that your word is your bond. When you tell someone you're going to do something, you should be able to do that thing because otherwise it's safer for you to just say no. I think that people in Kenya, they really underestimate trust as a principle of earning money. Because if I ask you to do something and you tell me you can do it, when you don't do it, you have lost my trust. And earning trust is very, very difficult. And I think in Nairobi especially, we take trust for granted. And the other thing that I really want to say about integrity and trust is that financial security and some financial processes are modeled from trust. And that is the reason a bank can never give you credit if you do not prove that you're someone who is credit worthy. So if you keep asking money from your friends and you do not repay that money in the amount of time that you said you're going to repay it, obviously I'm not going to give you that money again. And so the thing is that it's not that things don't come up, it's the fact that people don't communicate. So if you give me 10 bob and I tell you I'm going to give you that 10 bob next week, Monday I might not have that 10 shillings. But on Sunday night, I should have the decency and the integrity to tell you, Waithaka, I borrowed 10 shillings from you. I said I was going to return it on Monday, but I am not going to be able to because of A, B, C, D. ABCD. That way you don't ruin your trust, you don't ruin your credit status with people. And this thing of people not being genuine, you give someone something, they can't take care of it, you ask them something, somehow their phone is lost that day, they go MIA. It's a very, like, trust, people need to associate trust with the seriousness that trust deserves. And I think that ties in a lot with valuing integrity. Again, something that we really struggle with in this country. And I don't know if it's because our leaders are bad, so we are also bad. We are just following what they are doing. We are holding ourselves to their standard. And that's why we can't keep them accountable, because we are also not people with integrity. The third thing I want to talk about is be a caretaker. Can someone hire you as a caretaker in their building? What I mean by that is we need to start valuing accountability and transparency. And I think for me, this is something that I was taught by my dad at a very early age. My dad used to give me 50 shillings to go and buy maybe like a piece of, like a loaf of bread. And the loaf of bread might be 44 shillings. And when I go back to see him, he will ask me how much was this bread. I'll tell him 44 shillings. And he'll be like, where is the 6 shillings? I gave you 50 bob, and now you've spent 44 bob. So where is the 6 shillings? And if I cannot give him back his 6 shillings, the next time he'll send me for something, he'll send me -6. So I am in debt to him because I was not accountable and I was not transparent with how I spent his money. So similarly, we should learn to report to people who trust us with their money, who trust us with their possessions, about how those things are doing. Because you see, if someone trusts you, I guess this is like the best example I can think of is at some period of time, people wanted to own Ubers in Nairobi. So you have enough money, you want to buy an Uber. But you start asking yourself, now who will I trust? Who will I give this car? Who will not start going to drive it badly? Who will not start using it to run errands? Who I have to put a tracker in the car? I mean, this micromanagement just stems from not being able to access people who are accountable and people who are transparent. Because why do I need a tracker on a car when I can trust you to drive it? It doesn't make sense to me. And so I think one of the things that help with regards to planning your finances from a character point of view is to be accountable and to be transparent to yourself and to people who trust you with their things, and hence the caretaker model. Can someone build a house and leave it with you and say, huyu ndio caretaker wangu, I trust him with this building, he's going to find tenants, he's going to make the tenants pay rent, he's going to tell me when there are problems, he's not going to steal from me. Because you see, in this country, you give someone money to go build a building for you, my friend, you'll find that building is not even there, it's not yours. I don't know what happened. Wamekuibia di misumari. I mean, like, why are you stealing nails? Like, how does that help you? Like, the lack of accountability and transparency in this country is frustrating. And that's why diasporans do not want to invest in Kenya. Because if I can't even trust my own sister, what are we saying? Like, it just doesn't make sense. The fourth point I want to make is called what I call the boomerang effect. And for me, I feel like this has worked perfectly. Philanthropy. You do not have to have cash, liquid cash, for you to be a philanthropist. I feel like there's a quote that says, I think no one can do everything, but everybody can do something. And so we are all gifted with different things. Be genuine about your giving. Like, you don't have to give someone money for you to have added value into their life. You can give time, you can give skill, you can give advice. I mean, resources is the word that we should be using, and money is a resource, I guess. It's just one of the many things that you can give someone to add value to them. And so because I have volunteered in so many different spaces and I do it genuinely, if I see a problem, I tell you, I'm like, I think you can solve it in A, B, C, D. Waithaka will tell you that the reason Centonomy Youth Edition has an ambassador program is because I sat down in that class and I thought, you know what? All the students in all the universities need to know this information. And how can you do it? Through an ambassador program. Just get a few people who've done the class, send them to these places, let them talk about their experience. Because word of mouth is the best way to sell your business. People will always believe word of mouth, and it's an experiential thing. You can't sell an experience to someone. Like, Centonomy speaks for itself. For me, when I tell people to join Centonomy or to go to Centonomy and they start asking me questions, I'm like, if you can't see the value, imagine I'm not going to try and explain it to you. That's not my job. The day you will get to the end of yourself, you know, Waceke, I think, gives a story about how she started Centonomy because she was an investor for someone, and even her, she didn't even have the money to invest for herself. So you can ask people to come to Centonomy, but there's a place you will get in your life. And for many people, I guess that was COVID. And you will realize, my friend, I cannot continue living my life the way I've been living. And I think that looks different for different people. And then I guess my last point is, do you trust the bus driver? And I guess that for me boils down to trust again as a point. So a good example I like to give is that imagine that your financial goal is a destination. So you're moving from Nairobi to Mombasa. And so you might want to partner with people. And I guess this is a lesson that I have learned recently. And I want to assume that in Mombasa is your destination and you're in Nairobi. So if you want to partner with people, assume that those people are the people who are going to be driving the bus to take you to Mombasa. If you feel that this person cannot take you from point A to point B, why are you partnering with them? What is the value of them being there? Because if you do not have a plan for your money, my friend, people will have a plan for it. And there's no shortage of things to do in this city. I can tell you for free. There's always a place for money to be spent. So if your money does not have a purpose, if it is not planned for, you will start saying, I'm broke. And the one thing I've learned in Nairobi or in Kenya in general, when someone says, I'm broke, do not believe them. In fact, you can only believe your own bank account, because people will tell you they're broke, but somehow they are doing things on social media that you are just like, where are you getting this money? And so, like, something that I guess can stem from this point of trust is if you're partnering with people, and I guess a good example is if you want to go buy gold, you do not go and buy gold from a fishmonger, you go and buy gold from a jeweler. And so in terms of investing, you cannot be investing with people who do not have the skill set of the particular business or thing you want to do. So you cannot be starting a logistics company and you're talking to someone who shines shoes. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it has to make sense. Logically, when it comes to finances, it's a very logical thing. It should make sense. And I think I said, if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it must be a duck. It's supposed to be a very simple thing. I don't think money was supposed to be this really complicated thing that human beings have made it to be. It was supposed to be, I have value, you have value, let's exchange. We are now looking for something in the middle that we both think is a good medium. And so to finish off, I guess something that I really want to say is that the 5 points remain: be Eliud Kipchoge, which is be disciplined. And then the duck analogy, if it quacks like a duck, it looks like a duck, it is a duck, which means have integrity. Be a caretaker. Let people look at you and say that you can be accountable and you can be transparent when you're trusted with things for yourself and for other people. And then the boomerang effect, which is be a philanthropist. Like, what goes around really does come around. And then the last point is, do you trust the bus driver? And I guess that in itself as a character is trust. So the three things or the 3 books that I would recommend, because I said I'm an academic, I have one of them here. It's called Money Brain. It's written by a Nigerian author. His name is J.R. Kanu. He studied an MBA at Stanford. He was in Nairobi selling this book in June of 2019. I met him at Ankara Grill, and that's where I bought the book. And so my book is personally signed by the author, because I met him at the bar counter and we started talking, and he told me he's selling books, and I asked him which books, and then now he gave me one and I bought it instantaneously, because I thought, I read the foreword and I was like, this must be a really good book. And then the second book that I would want to recommend, which I think is timeless, is George Clarson's book, The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a very simple book. It's 100 pages. But I mean, the information here it's really like so good. Mine is started because that's how much I read it. As a family, we read this book at the beginning of every year. And then my dad is like, what are your financial goals? So that we can align. So if we are planning a holiday, kila mtu ajipange. We are not depending on each other. And then the last book, which I would want to mention, is the book by Ha Jung Chang, The Kicking Away the Ladder, which refers back to my initial analogy about matching needs and development and bringing those together. And I guess to close off, I really want to read one of the quotes that J.R. Kanu writes here, and it's actually a Kenyan proverb, which I thought was so interesting. So he says, the one whose seeds have not sprouted does not give up planting. And I think it's very self-explanatory. I don't need to explain. I'm gonna say it again. The one whose seeds have not sprouted does not give up planting. And so I think as people begin this year, for me, the principles of money management have always been very simple. And I think that no one has ever talked about the character side of what it means to invest and to have a relationship with money, with yourself and with people around you, and how to identify opportunities as well. Yeah, so I guess in summary, my experience having been in Centonomy is that your network is your net worth. This platform hosts so many people with very interesting ideas, very good stories. It's a platform, like I think someone said that Waithaka has more knowledge about how you can make money in Kenya than Oprah. And it's true, it's actually very true. It's a nice way for you to get a summarized version of everything that you need to be thinking about, because in 12 weeks, you're not going to be able to do all of it. You're left to now really think about some things deeply and contextualize them for yourself. And then also time is money. As in, if you're employed, you really need to start being purposeful about what you do after 5 p.m. and before 8 a.m. Because between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., that time is not yours. It's for your employer. You're building someone else's thing. And the moment you realize that, you will really start being more purposeful about how you spend your own time. Are you gaining a skill? Are you helping other people? Are you traveling? Are you happy with the life that you have? I think for me, to summarize, this class is about, and all the programs is about asking yourself, why? This money that I'm looking for so much, what exactly is it coming to do for me? What is my why? Yeah, so I guess maybe to just finish off, for me, COVID, I was writing my master's dissertation, so I didn't really feel the effects maybe as much as other people did. But what I will say is that this class prepared me for COVID, in the sense that in COVID, I was in the UK. I knew I was coming back to Kenya. I found a house. I renovated the house while I was in the UK with the help of my friends. I said I was not going to move out of home until I found a house that I love in a location that I love. My parents live in Thika Road, And so I was like, if I'm moving to a road that is not Thika Road and is very convenient. So I'm currently living in Upper Hill because that's where I've always wanted to live. A house opened up. The deposit for that house was 85,000. I had it, I paid it. I furnished my house. I came from the airport, I was picked, I was dropped to my house. I came to my house before I even went to my parents' house, because I feel like I've really been purposeful about thinking about the lifestyle that I want to live. I am on sabbatical, I'm not working for anyone, but I have money to travel for 8 months comfortably without needing to ask for money from anyone. I can just take my small car that will not consume too much fuel and I will go. I've just come back from Nyeri. I had such a wonderful time in Shags. I literally came because I didn't trust the network in Nyeri. Otherwise, I would have been in the Aberdare forest as we speak. I want to stop there.
I don't know whether everyone is just seeing why I tried to hire you, Betty, but I still have that ambition. Maybe somewhere along the way we'll be able to work
Let's
together
talk
more.
candle.
Look, that's just, I don't even want to add anything to that. I think the only thing that I want to do is to translate Shags, because since now we're speaking to an international audience, you're saying upcountry. When we say Shags, we're talking about where we come from originally, where our parents and parents' parents come from originally, upcountry. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Betty. You should see all the people clapping for you, just saying, wow, spot on, what is going. Read through the comments. I encourage all those who are on the Zoom platform, if you can, just put your questions in the Q&A section, and I'll invite Flavia and Betty to just go through. There are a couple of questions that you can go and respond to directly in the Q&A section, and we'll see how we can get through those as best as we can. I just want to give a shout out to everyone on Facebook. Thank you so much for all of you who've been there. We've had a really great engagement on Facebook. I want to give a special shout out to Stella Kiguta, Nganga, who has, this is the thing, Betty, the example that you have given, which was when you find something good, bring all your friends along. You should see how she has typed all her friends' names into the comments there so that they can listen to what you've been saying. Thank you so much to everybody also on Twitter as well, and on YouTube as well. We've seen all those comments that are coming through. I think, Betty, you've covered them really well. If there are any other questions, I feel that we'll need to do so. I'll come back to them as we go. But everyone, I think you have understood why I tried to hire this amazing young lady who's going places. Seriously. Okay. A point that I wanted to bring up, thank you so much, Betty. A point that I wanted to bring up would be specifically that you cannot learn to swim by watching or reading a book, by watching people practicing, by reading a book. You have to get in the pool. And what I've noticed about many people when they attend our open days, when they attend any of these events that we hold, because we do this often, and even next week we'll have another event, and the week after that. And so we see people coming in and they're kind of looking in from the outside, and it's like you're trying to learn how to swim by watching people who are swimming or reading books about people who are swimming. You have to get in the game. And so we'll be sharing a couple of principles here today, but it is in the class, because in the class, unlike other classes, you don't have exams. So for those of you who don't like exams, Centonomy works for you, because the exam is your life and you don't want to fail in that. So we're inviting you to come into the class because that's where the transformation begins. The tools, once you start actually using them, putting together a budget, putting together a savings plan, beginning your investment strategy, actually planning the figures of how to get there. And you see, we're not in the class to test your maths ability. In fact, in the class, we give you the answers because we're here to empower you to begin your financial journey. Let me give you an example of what that looks like. Debt has come up a couple of times, and I want to give you an illustration of what it means to understand the fundamentals and begin to make a choice. So if you're like Betty and you're thinking about buying a house, for many people, the idea of a mortgage is what you think about. And so there was a lady who called in and she was talking about her mortgage, and I took her through this, and I began to explain to her what are the choices that are in place. And I showed her that if you borrowed 10 million shillings, to buy that house on a mortgage at 13%. That's about the rate that we have here. Can you imagine, for all those in the diaspora, can you imagine we're paying debt back at 13%? All of those in Los Angeles, I think I saw someone in Washington, you guys are at 3%. Oh my goodness. Anyway, 13% for 20 years. Let me show you the financial effect of such a choice. And we do this in the class so everybody can be able to understand. So that means if you're borrowing 10 million shillings, 13% for 20 years, that means monthly you'll be paying back 117,000 shillings per month for 240 months. And interest alone, this is interest separate from repaying the actual principal amount, is 18,117,000. When I showed this lady, she was like, what? And I wondered, did she not read through, because you just accept things, from the bank or from whichever person who is offering you these financial services, and you don't ask questions. She never read through the details, but yes, she's going to be paying, the house is worth 10 million, but over a 20-year period, she would pay 18 million in interest alone. So in total, she would have been paying, so this is now, sorry, I'm doing the math quickly, 28 million shillings for this house. And she began to think, what is a better way to do it? And we talked about it, and she said, you know what, even if I was to rent this place for 10 million, I'd probably get half what my monthly payment would be. So we look at what are the options along the way. I asked her now, if you had known this information beforehand and made a choice, what the power of information, it's not even, you don't even have to know the mathematics, it's simply information. Watch this. I told her, instead of taking the mortgage for 20 years, what if you took that mortgage for 15? What happens when we change this from 20 to 15 years? What happens to the total amount of interest as well as the monthly repayment? So watch this. So we've gone from 20 years to 15 years. So instead of taking the mortgage for a long period, take it a bit shorter. Watch what happened. So we went from 18 million shillings in interest to 12 million shillings, almost 5.5 million shillings, 5.5 million shillings saved. Not only that, but you have saved 5 years in your mortgage, and the pressure on your monthly income has gone from 117 to 126, not even 10,000 shillings on top of that. And she looked at it and said, you know what? If I simply reworked my finances, I could have done this and have cleared my loan 5 years in advance, having paid 5.5 million shillings less in interest. Guys, when we talk about these things, we are being very practical. It's looking at where you are and what can you do with what you have. Because if you have cleared your loan in advance, if you've made the investments in advance, when a crisis hits, you're prepared for it. But it matters that you are in the class. I wanted just to let you know, guys, there's no point in watching from the outside, trying to learn how to swim, standing on the side, reading a book, even practicing in your house how to swim. You have to get in the water. And it's that buoyancy, it is that feeling of being in the water that gives you the ability. It's amazing. This past month, I've been teaching my daughter to ride a bike, and we had to take off the training wheels. And when you take off the training wheels, you find your balance. But as you're finding your balance, you fall a couple of times, but once you've gotten it, you can't forget how to ride a bike. Guys, that's what we must do in order to build our financial strategy. So I'm inviting you. The class begins, the Centonomy 101 class begins on the 9th of February, 2021. You're only required to be in class once per week. The classes are online, so wherever you are in the world, you can be able to register. I mean, it's been amazing to have people all the way from Australia to Canada to South Africa to West Africa to Europe in the same class, our experiences being shared and how they apply across the board. One class per week, either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday evening from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. East African time. So you can adjust for wherever you are in the world. Or Saturday morning, like what we've done today, from 9 to 11:30 a.m. East African time. The registration, because you guys have shown up today for the open day, is only 500 shillings, which is about $5 US dollars. And the tuition fee is only 39,000 shillings, which is payable in monthly installments to make that cash flow as easy as possible. We've still got that 10% lockdown discount because we recognize that COVID has not left us yet. And so that pressure is still high. So we're trying to offer that discount to allow as many people as possible to be in the class. Please register today because that's what we want to do. It's because you have come. The registration fee is usually 1,500 shillings, about $15 US. But for today, it's only $5 because it's a commitment. And then you begin the plan of how to pay. If you'd like to make those payments, the details are there on the screen. You can do it if you're in East Africa through M-Pesa. The pay bill number is on the left-hand side of the screen, 986850. The account number, just put in your name and 101, following by 101, because we have a couple of other programs. So we want to know that you're coming in for the 101 program, which is to build your wealth, personal wealth. And if you want, the bank details are on the right side of the screen. And in case you have any questions, you can always reach out to our team, Maureen at centonomy.com, and the number down there at the bottom of the screen. Guys, you can't learn to swim by watching from the outside. Get in the game. Thank you so much to Flavia. Thank you so much to Betty. That's an amazing, amazing moment. But here I am so excited to invite our next speaker for the day. The lady who started this all, Waceke Nduati. She's now, we start with author, with her amazing book, which is written, which is called Making Sense. And I'll be sharing a bit about that. She's an entrepreneurship coach. But yes, most importantly for the discussion that we're having today, she is also the founder of Centonomy, and that story that was so relatable to everybody at the beginning. Hi, Sheke, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah.
Let me get you up on the screen now, because I think I have you elsewhere. There we go.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Did you listen to some of those stories?
I did. It's just amazing.
Yes.
And so glad to see Betty again. And remembering when she first walked into Centonomy, and Betty, your success is just so inspiring. Yeah, it's just amazing. Yeah.
So welcome. Take the floor.
Yes.
Share what you have for us today.
Okay. All right. First of all, good morning, everybody. For those of us I know who are in the diaspora, it's probably at some point very late at night or very early in the morning, but it's really, really good to be here. It's so good to see you here. This year we're celebrating the 12th year of Centonomy, and we're just extremely happy to have you here. Centonomy, I'm holding the fort for Centonomy, but Centonomy has been awarded Builder of Africa for 2021. So we are very excited to continue this amazing journey that is very close to myself, very close to my team, of seeing Africans create wealth. Yeah. And I like the challenge, Waithaka, you are giving people who have been joining us, and it's really, really time to enter the swimming pool, because I believe, and even from the conversations that I've been having, that when we are able to get our finances right, when we are able to create wealth, we are able to just start seeing what is the bigger role we play in the purpose of our world, in the purpose of our continent. But anyway, today we're talking about financial plans, yeah? And let me just start with, I've been having some very sobering discussions about money, and it just, when I was thinking about what to come and talk in the very short time I've been given, but the sobering part about it is that I have come to learn that 97% of people have inadequate savings to see them past one income interruption. And I don't think we're lying about this, because we saw the pandemic and we saw how people were disrupted, yeah? Now, when you fast forward this, and then a lot of things happen in between, then you fast forward this, and 80% of people will not be able to retire, or will have to depend on their children to do so. Then when people start depending on their children, it creates an extra burden on their children, who go back and repeat the same cycle of not having enough savings and depending on their children. So when we say problems, wealth, poverty is intergenerational, just understand, when we're doing this and getting you to create wealth, it's not only just for you. Wealth is also generational, because wealth comes with developing other patterns that now you pass on. Not only do you enjoy your life in between, but you pass on to other people. So today, when we speak about rebuilding a plan, I want you to think about it not so much as rebuilding. We're not going back to rebuild what we lost, yeah, in some way. It's about redesigning. So we have to think about what is that design. I am determined this year to stop calling the pandemic a crisis, yeah? And I think I was telling Waithaka that the other day. Of course, it was a crisis, but I think we need to stop. It was a shot in the arm to teach us something. And I think it's telling us as individuals, and it's telling the world, we need to redesign. We need to redesign how we've been working, how we've been thinking, how the world, the corporate world has been operating, but it's also time we redesign our money. So it has come with pain, a lot of pain that I wish was not there, loss of life that I wish was not there, and challenges. But if we don't use that pain or those challenges to take stock and address what we really need to change, we have lost sight of the purpose. And the way life is, we're gonna have to learn it again. Now, my family and I went away for a few days last week to celebrate my mom's 70th birthday. And like most people, we had conversations of, is this really the time to do it? Should we be spending money, etc.? But if there's one thing I have learned, that this has taught, that it is more important now than ever to do the things that are important, not just the urgent things. And if you look at our lives, how many of us were caught up just doing the urgent, and we are waiting. We're saying the next moment, the next moment, the next moment is when I'm going to live life. And the stories we've had today, what I loved about them is everybody in some way said we were not waiting to have the perfect conditions. So today, as we speak about financial plans, I just want to bring that plan into context. Now, when you go into a car shop, a dealer, a showroom, think about going to buy your favorite car. Let's imagine it. Everybody has a favorite car. Mine right now, if you can give me the orange Ford Ranger, I will be your best friend completely, yeah? So everybody has a favorite car. So I just want, as I speak, just put that favorite car in your head. Now you enter the dealer or you enter the showroom, you look at the car, you choose, you look at the seats, you look at the engine. For those of you who looking at engines, you're like, is it cloth? Is it leather? You look at the space. Some of us who like the outdoors will be like, show me the boot. Do we have boot space? Yeah, if we don't have boot space, I'm renting you off. Others would be like, I have kids, so I need space for them to fight in the back while I'm driving, whatever it is. Now, is there any car shop that tells you, now, thanks for choosing your car. Come and let us now show you the array of fuel? No, nobody shows you the fuel, yeah? So when we look about the financial plan, we sometimes make the mistake of thinking it's just about the money. And I think what we have learned is this life of just chasing the money is not sustainable. So money is the fuel, but it is not the car. So think about the car as the design of your life. What do you spend time on? What do you love doing? You are after the car. What gives you purpose? What gives you joy? What gives you fulfillment? What is important to you? If it's going out of town for your mom's 70th birthday, is that important to you? Yeah. The fuel is, by the way, important, but it is not the one that determines things. And I've used this quote in my book, Making Sense, quite a lot. And I talk about it quite a lot. Money is a tool, but it is not the life. So today I want you to look at your car. Imagine that same image you had when you're looking at your dream car. Did you like when I was talking about that Ford Ranger, the emotions, I'm imagining driving on open road, the freedom. There's some emotions that came to mind when you thought about that car. And I want you to dig into those emotions, yeah? And understand those emotions are not wrong. So many times we've been told, no, you will be happy when you have more money. You should only do that when this and that has happened, yeah? So those same emotions, those same feelings, I think we were put on earth so that life can be like that. I'm a person of faith, and Jesus said he came so that we could have life in abundance, not money in plenty, yeah, although it may be a tool for that abundance, but life in abundance. Have you designed that life? Because if we go forward, as a community, the community that is represented today, we all went through the pandemic and faced different things. But if we go forward without designing that life, then even the money side doesn't make sense. And I'm coming back to talk about the money sense. So are you happy with it? The car is simply what you want. It is your life. So when you think about that car, who is in the car with you? Yeah, there's some people maybe you've been hanging around with and they're not in the car with you. Where is that car going? What are you experiencing while we're in the car? So it's not about waiting to have fun when we are at the destination. What are you experiencing in the car? Is your favorite music playing? Are the windows down? What is happening? Yes, there'll be bumpy roads sometimes, but at least you're in the car. So we've got to take time to design, because a lot of times, one of the things when we're teaching people, the hardest question they have, that gives them a pause. We make, in the Centonomy 101, we will make you answer this. What do you want? And let's stop confusing the fuel for the car. We want to complain a lot about life. We want to complain about our governments, the economy and all that. And there's so many things to complain about. But can we take responsibility for the design that we created? How did you spend money? What did you do with your time? What ideas did you have that you did not go forth with? Yeah, let's take responsibility. What things in certain relationships have you never confronted? Yeah, and when you do that, you can put money in its place. So why do we want money? As I said, it's not the goal of a financial plan. What we've got to answer is money for what? And I think sometimes you've seen stories of, you've seen people who've got billions of shillings or billions of dollars, and they still look so miserable, and they're still so limited, and they're still living such a small life. That's not what we want, and that's not what we're here to teach you to do. So what does the financial plan help you to do? When it comes to money, the financial plan is about arranging money so that it can be a proper fuel for the car. And we arrange money in partnership with another important tool called time. When you understand that money and time are twins, almost twins, then we're gonna get somewhere. Sometimes you may have the time, but you don't have the money, but it doesn't mean you don't have a tool to use. Sometimes you have the money, but you don't have the time. It still doesn't mean you don't have a tool to use. So we're always balancing, especially those two resources, time. And when I say time, I don't mean that you must have 50 years. No, time could be 3 months, time could be 6 months, time could be 5 years, time could be 20 years. I do not believe in this concept of I'm too old to do it or I'm too young to do it. That just doesn't exist, yeah? It's all about the design of the car. So why do I say time? Let's go back to what I was saying of people are one paycheck away from poverty, yeah? Many of our past students told us last year that one of the things they're grateful to Centonomy for is the emergency fund. And I think, Waithaka, you were talking about this. Being able to sustain themselves for 3 months or more. So they lost income because their businesses were interrupted or their jobs were interrupted, yeah? So what does being able to sustain yourself for 3 months or 6 months do? So this is, I lose my job, but I can still keep the lights on. I can still pay my rent or mortgage. I can still pay school fees for my kids, or if they were going to school. I can still eat. Yeah, just that, yeah. What does it do to you? It gives you time. It just gives you time. And what I mean by time, it gives you time to figure out what is my next move. So those people did not need to go and disrupt the design of the car. So if these people were, for example, interior designers, but something happened to their jobs, they did not have to go and take another job in a completely different industry and say, I'm going to do bookkeeping, for example, because they had the 3 months. And in those 3 months, they could figure out, where do I get another interior design job? Or is this the time for me to become an interior design consultant? How do I position myself? That is what the 3 months and the 6 months did. So when they finally started the car again, they had not gone backwards. They may have paused for a while, but they did not go backwards. That is the tool money gives you. It gives you time. And later it will be time for different things. And in Centonomy, when we talk about concepts like retirement, we are not saying one day you'll be 70 and you stop doing it, you don't do anything. No, we're just saying there may come a point in time when you want to do something different. You may not even know what it is, but the time has come to say goodbye to the job or goodbye to the business, and you don't want to starve while you're doing it. If you have had a financial plan, it gives you that time. So when you start understanding money is there to give you time, not everything is going to be, as the pandemic showed us, is I get this job, then I get another one, or I get this business, then I start another one, another one. We need time. Sometimes it's even time to rest. I once met this very wealthy lawyer, and this was years ago, and I was going to see my brother who lives in Australia. I had just literally started the business. Money was extremely tight, but I had decided I am going. And so I hustled. I even convinced the airline to give me a ticket on half price so that I could go see my brother, because I had not seen him for many, many, many years. Yeah. And I met this lawyer, and then I talked to him about it. He told me, you must be very rich. I was extremely confused, yeah, because he's so rich. But then I realized, later I came to realize it's because he's got it upside down about what money is for. This lawyer was rich but stuck. He had money, but he did not have the time. He had created this life where he mistook money for the car. And the thing is that you can always, if you have $1 million, you'll want $2 million and then $5 million. So he kept fueling, earning money, but the car was not going anywhere. He had not described what is this money supposed to actually do. So, but I, who had to hustle, who had to convince airline tickets to give me 50%, all these sorts of things, I went. And this is my message to all of you who are waiting. And just question, when you go back after this, I just want you to take a few minutes to think about your car. Have you been waiting? That is the biggest lie. You have to wait for more money. You have to wait before you learn about money or you build a financial plan. You have to wait for a bigger title. You have to wait for the right spouse. What else are we waiting? All this, we have to wait for the right time. Think about it, right time. Time is there. I mean, 24 hours every day given to everybody. Yeah. What is right about that? There could be seasons for certain things, but when you're consistently waiting, you've entered a trap. Yeah. Some people wait for the so-called retirement to live life. Yeah. And then when they get to retirement, they realize because they were waiting, they can't, or they didn't plan money. Yeah. In order to be able to do this. Yeah. The danger of waiting is that since there's always more to earn, bigger titles, it will never feel like the right moment to actually live life, to drive that car. What you wait for becomes your prison. Yeah. If you're waiting for more money, if that's the mindset, and Betty, in some way you are talking about this mindset. If you're waiting, it becomes your prison. Yeah. Even when it's right in front of you, you will not see it. It becomes the reason you can't do it. Yeah. So you thought you're waiting for money, then it continues becoming the reason why you cannot do it. Well, what you needed to do was step in, enter the bus and activate. Yeah. So we've got to separate the car from the fuel. You are the only one who can give yourself permission to do this. Nobody else. There's absolutely nobody else. Yeah. What do you want? And remove the noise of media, remove the noise of belief systems, we are very proud of some of our culture, but remove those things that we've been told is tradition or culture that hinders. I don't believe that, yeah? That hinders in any way because of the community you came from, because of the gender you were born into, because of your race, because of your religion, all that hinders. The conversations, yeah, or even some of the people very close to you, even some of the way your own family members think, that sometimes you have to step away from. Not what you are allowed to want. Don't be limited by what you think you're allowed to want. What do you actually want? You don't have to know it all at once, but find ways of exposing yourself. And exposure is, let me read a book. Yeah, today we've heard about people talking about various books. Let me read a book. That's exposure. Let me go and meet somebody who's outside my immediate social circle. That is exposure. Oh, I've never been to this part of the world, never been to this part of the country. How about I go there? Not only will I enjoy myself, but that is exposure. And sometimes when you feel people have an advantage over you, it's usually boils down to exposure or experience. And that is something in your own way you can be able to take care of. Yeah. And let's not be shackled by, I've not done it before, so I can't do it. There's a time I asked one of my clients to go on a radio show with me. I'd been called for radio and I thought she had an amazing story. So I asked her to go with me and she's like, I can't do it. I've never done it before. And I think this time we've got to get out of that mentality. I've never done it before. I can't invest. I've never done it before. I can't start a business. I've never done it before. You see, that becomes another prison. If you're always thinking I've never done it before, Centonomy would not exist if I was waiting to do something I had done before. I had never done it before, but what had happened is I personally had the experience of struggling with my finances. That became my qualification for starting Centonomy. Then once you decide this is the car and I'm going to take steps, the financial plan has no option but to rise up to meet you. Let me repeat that today. Once you decide, your finances, your money is not the decision maker. Once you decide and start activating, your finances have no option but to rise up. Yes, you will face challenges, but remember, setbacks don't necessarily change the design of the car. All they are is a setback. Painful, but they are setback. So what does this financial plan give you? And I'm going to talk about it, even what has a financial plan given me? First, it stretches you. If you're able to save 10,000 shillings per month today, financial plans, the way we will teach you to do it is that next year, it won't be 10,000. It will be 30,000, 50,000. And when you first set it, when you first decide you're going to save, let's say you can do 10,000 and we tell you aim for 50, you will think that it's impossible. But we have had so many people, yeah? And I remember a lady called Linda, who the next year she came and told me, Waceke, I doubled the amount of money I saved. So I went from 10,000 to 20,000. And I never thought I could do it. And what does it do? You see, remember, it's all about the car. Once you've started the 10,000, it's done and dusted. Yeah, the human nature, we always want to go forward. Once you've achieved the 10,000, you're always going to be, so how do I do 10? And the stretch also starts saying, yes, my job pays me this amount of money, or my business pays me this amount of money. But when I start thinking, stop limiting yourself because of your pay slip. Yeah, your pay slip may be, for now, may say give you the same amount the rest of the year. But that's not what you're limited to. Yeah, if you decide I want it 5 times, you're going to start thinking, how do I earn extra money? The time I'm spending outside of work or outside my business, how do I also make extra money? So it stretches you. And let me tell you, one day you will look back and you'll ask yourself, how did this happen? You will develop the discipline of stretching yourself. It's a mindset. It's a forward movement mindset, yeah? It gives you a sense of control, like what we're talking about, the emergency fund, so that not everything is going to come and disrupt you. It is extremely risky for us to be living one paycheck away from destruction. And this is whether we're talking about the watchman or the guard, whether we're talking a high-level manager in a bank, it is the same thing. So different lifestyles, but the same disease. And many of us are actually speeding down the highway of poverty dressed in luxury. And we've got to stop doing that. Yeah. So dress in luxury, fine. If you want your luxury, fine. But have that emergency fund that can sustain that luxury life if you've decided that luxury life is the design of your car. So one thing in Centonomy we don't tell you is, oh, you must live badly. We don't do that. We want you to design what is authentic to you, because we, as a team, we're authentic. I've only built this company by being authentic. So I'm not telling you how I didn't travel. I traveled even when I was broke, but I decided that's going to be the design of my car. Yeah. So the how is because of the things we're telling you to do. Yeah. So control, a sense of control, a sense of that you are in charge of your own destiny, not your employer, not your customers, not your parents. You are in charge of your own destiny. It gives you a sense of achievement to get to that destiny. It starts with 1 shilling. If 1 shilling is what you can do today, or $1 is what you can do today, fine. But there are people here today, they can start with $1,000. Do it. And it's the principle of sowing a seed. When you plant a seed, then it has to grow, yeah? But if you're always standing at the bus stop, you're not quite entering the bus, and you're always standing at the bus stop and saying, next month, I can't, you never plant the seed. So it's not about how much you started, it's because you started, because you start getting a sense of achievement. Then you're like, oh, I can invest in shares. When you invest in shares, you're like, oh, I can buy a property. Like, oh, I can buy a house. You're like, then like, oh, you mean I can buy a property then? You mean I can start a business? The world, remember I talked about exposure, the world just opens up. And we live in a world that has so many opportunities, but very few people are looking at that opportunity. Very few people are looking at that opportunity. We'd rather use YouTube to watch all sorts of nonsense, but very few people are going to use YouTube to watch the videos that are going to be on YouTube today. Yeah. So the opportunities are there. It teaches you to think ahead. You become no nonsense to the conversations of we are all doomed and things like that. Your mind starts thinking ahead. So you're like, next year, the year after, okay, and if something has changed the year after, and it's that thinking ahead that takes your kids to school. It's that thinking ahead that gives you retirement. It's that thinking ahead that grows business. I didn't have much to start Centonomy with, but one thing I had was the ability to think ahead. Yeah, and some of the stuff I wrote down and I've written down in my journals, they have come into fruition. So our ability to just take a moment and think ahead. School fees is not a surprise. I know in January, we like talking this language of January, especially in Kenya. School fees is not a surprise. Even the fact that a crisis or an emergency in our lives will happen in itself is not a surprise. So we've got to learn to think ahead. Thinking ahead, and when we come to the investment classes, you'll see how they teach is what are the trends that are going to happen in 2 years' time. That's what we need to see. We can't just be distracted by consuming now that we forget that in 2 years' time, this is what is going to be happening in the counties. And that is why there's an opportunity to do farming in a certain county. We have to think ahead because wealth is not going to be created where everybody else is going. Yeah, it's going to be where have people thought ahead. When you look at companies on the stock exchange, you're like, there's some companies there that even were listed very recently that were like, okay, very small, nothing happening now. But in 4 years' time, I can see how this entertainment industry is going to blow up. Yeah, so this company is good. Yeah, so think ahead. And I have seen with people, Betty gave you her $5,000 story. I have seen it in my life. When you are in this journey, miracle moments will happen. You know, those moments where you're like, how did that happen? And that could be, how did I end up being able to meet face to face with that person? How did I end up being able to make that kind of money? And they usually happen when you're in the mind frame of, I am going to do this no matter what. A couple of years ago, not just a couple, I think it was 10 years ago, my husband and I put up a block of flats in Nairobi, just in the outskirts of Nairobi. And we had no money. We had the land, which we struggled to find the money. We bought it. We had no money to put up the land, and we had never done any property development before. I must now say it taught me that property development is not for me, but we actually did it. And it was literally going to people around us, our networks, selling the plan, selling the vision of the kind of place we wanted. And people bought in, and we even without a loan, we were able to raise money to put up 21 flats. Yeah. We don't own them all. They were bought by some people, but we're like, wow, it just showed me, let's remove this myth of I must have done it before, but also that once you are committed to doing it, sometimes I think God waits to see, are you actually entering the bus before I waste my time with you? But when you're in the bus, a lot of things happen. There are a lot of mistakes we made, but a lot of learning. And I have used that same principle of when I'm decided to do something, it is going to happen no matter what. Even if I have to do it a different way, sometimes money may come in a different way, not how you expected, but the car of the design is going to stay. So to bring that into context, in Centonomy, why we teach money differently, because we first get you to look at the car and design it. We even go back and say, the car you're driving, is it yours? And that's why we take you to look at your spending, your goals, and things like that. I built Centonomy, this particular program that you're entering. I built it from experiences that were extremely personal to me. and personal to the kind of conversations I was having. So there's no theory, because money, we understand money is emotional. There's a feeling around money. Sometimes it's excitement, sometimes it's anxiety, sometimes it's fear, but there's a feeling around money, and we understand that, yeah? Why else would we include life coaching as part of this? It's so that you can deal with that, but also get your design. And it's amazing when people understand, oh my goodness, I can do this. This is a place where if anybody has ever told you you can't, or you're not from here, or this and that can't happen, yeah, this is the place where we just remove those shackles and let's be in a community and create a community that we're out to create wealth and empower others, because we have to understand that you creating wealth is not selfish, yeah? We want you to create that plan, activate it as you go through, but you play a part in the bigger picture. It's not just you. When your money is working for you and your family, not only do you have financial control for yourself, but do you understand the ripple effect to your economies? In your household, that means your house help has a job because you are getting money, right? And then she takes her kids to school, she supports other people, you probably pay for a relative school fees, you buy goods from local businesses. So the domino effect, if you're running a business, if your finances are right, you create employment. So each one of us affects almost up to 5 people without knowing it. So it is not only in your best interest to have this plan and to take control of your financial life, but it is in the service of the greater good. So you creating wealth is a good thing, yeah? So that brings me to the end of my talk, but I just really want to encourage you guys. I think this is the year of redesign. It is the year of blueprint. It is the year where we really challenge. Is the way I was thinking before the way I want to think? It is when you break all those shackles, all those bonds that were holding you back. And I just want to tell you, we want to help you redesign that life, develop that blueprint, and let money, allow money to come in as a tool so that you can actually achieve it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Waceke, you've taken us to church. You should see the amens coming on the YouTube channel that guys are there. Thank you so much to everybody there. Judy, I can see you, Judy Modoni. This is Pony Mbugwa. Who else is there that I saw who had said? Saimo, the chef, said that. Sylvia Waswa is also there, just saying, I get it. I get the point. And I love that you brought it up, because that's something that also comes up a lot when people think about Centonomy. Because I mean, a major action that you take when you get into the Centonomy class is to start saving, is to start managing your money. So your friends start seeing, hey, when we went out, you didn't spend as much as you did before. So people think it's now about nyiming yourself. Oh, hey, now I've started speaking in our local church. It's about denying yourself.
Yeah.
And that becomes the main point. But no, what they're not seeing is the opposite side, that they're saying, I'm taking this money that I would have used for what you think it is, but I'm putting it towards that holiday at the end of the year.
Yeah.
The travel that we are talking about with Betty. It's not just about holding back, but living life abundantly.
Living life. And especially, Waithaka, can I add to that?
Please.
Especially now, because we are now seeing things differently and our role in the economy differently.
Yeah.
I want to encourage people, even when we are spending, most of us are Africans in some way here. Let us seek to buy as much as possible local goods and products, because that comes back to you. It could be your same employer, that business will create employment here. And in some way, all this comes back to you. So if you go somewhere and you see something from China, but you see something from Kenya, please buy something from Kenya. Please buy something from Uganda, from South Africa, because that is staying here. So it's part of that, yeah?
I love that you brought up that idea that wealth is a good thing. I think in Africa, we've had an issue around wealth because often it's linked to corruption, often linked to evil things, but wealth has a knock-on effect. I love that you talked about that. If I'm wealthy, I hire people and they're taking their children to school and their children will grow. I mean, the knock-on effect of wealth is amazing. And you see it around the world, especially with developed nations. You find that one generation is not starting where their grandparents started. But we often find that repetition happening here. Hey, Waceke, I don't know what to say, especially because of, I love that you shared the award with us, but really it was for you. This is the African Diaspora Network, which reached out to us with the help of US Aid and granted Waceke and Centonomy through Sheke the Builder of Africa Award in 2021, which is such an honor to be part of. And it's because of the work you've done. 12 years of work, Waceke. I'm here to learn and I continue to learn. For those who are asking what the value proposition for the Centonomy 101 program is, it's up on the screen. You get a certificate for the 101 program after the 12 weeks. We also help you to develop a 5-year financial plan. So you leave with a document that's going to guide you over the next 5 years. And it gives you, especially using the templates that we have, a budgeting template, a financial balance sheet template, a non-financial asset balance sheet. What Betty was talking about, if I have a skill that I have, how do I turn that skill into a financial asset? That's what we talk about there. Then we have an emergency fund plan, an irregular expenses plan, a debt repayment plan, and then obviously that 5-year financial plan, which I was talking about before, but also investment planning tools. We help you to be able to look at, I want to buy a house in 5 years. How can I project what the cost of that house will be in the next 5 years? And how do I work towards it? And those tools are real simple. As I said, we are not a maths class. It's not an accounting class. No, it's about what are the principles. We even give you the answers, how to use the tools so that you can get to that place. And then overall, as I said, the reduced cost and an amazing network. Let me tell you the value of being in the class, because we in adult training, I am simply a facilitator. I have the knowledge that I'm going to share. But when we input that knowledge into the class, someone from Australia is going to share, someone from Indonesia is going to share, from Washington is going to share, from Nigeria is going to share, from South Africa, and you're using all that information to get a picture of the world that you didn't have before. The network is an amazing, powerful tool. As we said, you register for only 500 shillings, Kenyan shillings, which is about $5. The tuition fees, 39,000 shillings in total, about $390. And then you can pay that in installments, monthly installments, that 14,500 before week 1, 14,500 in week 4, and then a month later, 10,000 shillings. It's really simple. In case you're outside of Kenya and you're wondering how to do that, there's a contact there at the bottom of the screen. Just email maureen@centonomy.com. She'll give you all the details on the best payment plans from wherever you are in the world. It's really amazing. I encourage you to register today because you've got that discount. When you come into our open day, that's really what we try and give you back some value, and we continue with the 10% discount as we go through this COVID situation around the world. Our classes are online. So I saw someone, I think in the chat box, was asking, I'm in Uganda, how do I get into this class? Don't worry, it is online, and so you'll be able to get into the classes. As you can see, the timing for the online classes is there. Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. East African time. And so you can adjust EAT, you can adjust for wherever you are in the world, or Saturday morning, just like where we are today, from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. That's what we usually do. It depends on where you are in the world. You can find the right time for you. It is the same class that runs the whole week. So if you come on Tuesday, you don't have to come on Wednesday, Thursday, or Saturday. No. One class per week. And that gives you the flexibility, because if I come in on Tuesday, and let's say, for instance, I had an issue, for instance, I can't be able to get into the class and I'm unable to do the Tuesday class, I can come, just write to us and we'll allow you to come in on Wednesday or Thursday or Saturday. Or if you know I have a wedding on Saturday, you can plan to come in earlier in that week. You'll attend that class. We're trying to make it as open as possible for everybody so that you can be able to attend. For those of you who are registering right now, the details are up on the screen. Please do register today, right now. Take advantage of the opportunity that is there. The registration fee, as we said, is 500 shillings. M-Pesa is a good way to do that. We're doing non-cash methods of payment. 500 shillings, $5 USD across the world. You can pay through the M-Pesa details there, 986850. Your account number is your first name and then the number 101, and we'll reach out to you with all the details of how the class begins, how you'll receive your materials to prepare for the class, and come in with that attitude of learning that I hope you saw from everybody out there. If you want to make the bank payments, the details are also there on the screen. And as I said, if you have any questions about the registration process, am I registered? What's happening? What's going on? Reach out to Maureen at centonomy.com. You can see the details there. Just write it down so that you're able to reach out to her. She'll help you with all the details. You can also call that number, +254 7000 36433, and we'll give you lots more details. Some goodies though, for everybody who showed up here. I wanted to just let you know we've got the campus edition. If you are age 17 to 24, this is probably better suited for you because we're dealing with issues at your level, and it's a bit easier for you. So if you're interested in the Centonomy Campus Edition, do go to our website, centonomy.com. We've got the full details there. I don't have time to tell you about it today, but if you're interested in the Campus Edition, or for your children or somebody you know, your brothers and sisters, do tell them to check it out, centonomy.com, and we have all the details that are there. If you're interested in Waceke's amazing book, Making Sense, Real Conversations About Personal Finance, it's also available now around the world through Amazon specifically. If you're in Kenya, you can get it from those various shops that are there, Bookstop, African Book Hub, Prestige Bookshop, Patmat Bookshop in Nakuru as well. And you can also get it from us directly at Centonomy, so you can always reach out to us through our website. It's a great book. I encourage you to read it with some real good stories. You follow the story of 3 of our alumni and how they went from where they were, where they started, what the process was, and where they've been able to reach, and also personal stories from Waceke and others who've been part of that story. For those of you in Uganda, it's now available in Uganda. The book is also there. Aristoc Booklex Limited, that is in Acacia Mall and Garden City, Kampala. If you're in Kampala, you can go pick up that book even as you prepare for class starting next month. Guys, it's been amazing. I want to invite all our speakers, if you can switch on your cameras. Betty, if you're there, I see you. Flavia, I think you're there as well. Switch on your cameras so that we can say goodbye together. It has been so inspiring to listen to your stories. Flavia, that was amazing. Betty, I hope you've gone through all the comments that were there, because people were speaking about you like, I don't know, an angel fell from heaven. No, you're a human being. All you are is purposeful. You're purposeful, and that's what we're trying to achieve. Waceke, as always, amazing to hear from you. This has been a pleasure for me to host you all, and I hope everyone has taken something home. We, as Africans, must rise up now. We must take control of our destiny, our future, by being purposeful. Flavia, do you have something to say before we go? Last point.
First of all, I would like to be in a country where Betty is president. So when that happens, please, I'm ready.
Maybe I should come to Uganda.
I don't care how. I'm coming to Nairobi soon. Of course, whilst I want to meet Waithaka and Waceke, please, guys, this president to be, I'd like to also meet.
We will organize. Great. Betty, parting thoughts as you go?
Yeah, you know I like Proverbs, so maybe I can read you another one from this book. I saw one that I thought was so relevant. It says, where is it? Yeah, it's a Nigerian proverb. Actually, I can read two. So the Nigerian proverb says, by labor comes wealth, which is very true. And then there's a Senegalese proverb that says, haste and hurry can only bear children with many regrets along the way.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Excellent. Waceke, parting thought?
I think I talked so much.
It's okay. It's all right. I just wanted to give you a chance.
No, well, I just want to tell people, I just look forward to really seeing people in the class, and please register for Centonomy, and I hope to meet you all. Flavia, I'm waiting to meet you as well. Yeah, so thank you all. Have a great afternoon.
Excellent.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You all have a wonderful weekend. It's time to take action. As we said earlier on, you can't learn to swim watching from the sidelines, reading a book, get in the pool. For all those who have been at our events for many years and you've never gotten the class, this is the time to do so. We've got so many testimonials of people saying, you know, I didn't even have the money when I started, but when I got into the class, I started coming up with ideas of how to get that money so that I can actually achieve the goal. And it's about building wealth from generation to generation. It has been a pleasure. As I said, my name is Waithaka Gatumia, and I'm waiting to see you in class. God bless. See you guys.
Bye. Bye.